Welcome to another episode of the Two for One podcast. I'm your host, Dion, alongside Nate and Mitch. Now, it's been a while since the last episode, and in full transparency, it has everything to do with me making a little bit of mistake during our last recording. But we are here today to wrap up the 2024 Olympics. And so we'll jump right into this one. We have a couple takeaways from our from the Olympics, and then we will get into what we think might be the Team USA roster for the next Olympics heading into 2028. So we'll jump right into this, Mitch. I'll start with you. What is your biggest takeaway from this year's Olympics?
My biggest take, kind of in a general sense for this Olympic, it has nothing to do with you Americans. It's that Patty Mills has immortalized himself in Australian basketball and international basketball in a general sense. Did you know for the better half of 2 decades now, Patty Mills has been leading this Australian squad as the Olympics? Since Beijing in 2008, he's been leading the squad. There was a if you guys want to come back to the 2021 or the 2020 Tokyo Olympics real quick, Patty Mills put up 42-9 in a bronze game for Australia, which
Mid.
is not 42 points in the Olympics. Bust worthy.
I believe that's at the top
Bust-worthy.
five scoring total of all time in one single game.
It's top five in terms of the scoring total, top five in the turnover to assist ratio as well, because it was 9-2. He had some of the craziest span of efficiency in a four kind of like era span. So in Beijing was kind of his like, his coming out. It was like a 13-2-2 steal game, pretty efficient. And then he comes back in London. London puts up 20 a game, puts up 20-4 with two steals, I think, something crazy abysmal like that. But more importantly, the shooting efficiency in London. Now, he lived and died by the mid-range, but 47% on true shooting percentage from the mid-range, kind of buttery, 35% from three. More importantly, Rio de Janeiro the next year, 8 threes a game, nearly 40%, fucking insane. The year after that, 7 threes a game, 41%, like for FIBA in general. And then Tokyo comes in, haymakers, 21 a game, 39% from three on 10 attempts a fucking game. Patty Mills, Australian legend. Now, you could argue the, Joe Ingles for like repping the city for kind of being that guy, but I will say Patty Mills has etched himself into like basketball history, Australia history. He's going to have a statue somewhere in Sydney, like I guarantee it. And he did all of this, mind you, by being a guy who initially wasn't even like kind of touted as like, he's a Spurs guard who was kind of, he played for the fucking Flying Tigers in 2011 in the CBA. Like, this was not a guy that you looked to and went, oh, that's a legend right there. No, he fucking ran that shit for Team Australia. So
Yeah.
my takeaway is we lose a legend in terms of the basketball community, but we gain a star. In the Hollywood Boulevard, Patty Mills would get a fucking star for the Olympics.
Absolutely. Well, lucky for you, Mr. Sider.
Josh Giddey's out there to carry the torch, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, Josh Giddey will carry the torch, but Patty Mills did actually recently ink a contract with the Utah Jazz, so you will get to still see the glory of Patty Mills.
Yes, but
in
this
action.
was
You'll get
his
to see
last.
him on the bench.
This was his last Olympic run.
For
He
sure.
said so.
Yeah, I mean, any player that participates in 5 straight Olympics for basketball, like you automatically go down as a legend just from representing your country for 20 years essentially. That's
Well,
pretty well. I guess 16, right?
Duop
'Cause-
Reith
yeah.
played 20 years. I still not sure he would be a legend.
Well,
in-
Duop Reith hardly played in his one and only Olympics.
Exactly. Well,
in
I'm
this
sorry,
past
but
year,
if he's
so-
on the roster, I just wanted to play devil's advocate
Well,
for
I
a
think
second.
playing participating in 5 straight Olympics is a pretty historic feat. There's only a handful of Olympians, regardless of sport, that have been able to do that. So, yeah, Mitch is absolutely
I
correct
did it.
that Patty Mills is a legend in Australian basketball for sure, and I'm glad that he's still sticking around the NBA. But yeah, he's had a pretty historical run. Now, Australia has failed to medal during his time, but they've come extremely close. They've had really good squads every single time they come to the Olympics, and they've come very, very close every single time, but have not finished in that top 3 quite yet. But
Am
Patty Mills absolutely will go down as a legend in Australian basketball. Yeah.
am I wrong though in saying that Australia's been kind of disappointing the past few Olympics and like people thought they were going to be like, one of the teams that would surely place. I mean, not this year maybe, but like even before that, it's kind of like you look at that team back in, what was it, 2016? Because I always forget because COVID fucked up the Olympics and all that shit. But back in 2016, that was like a really talented team and they were expected to place and they just didn't. So like I think there's been some disappointment too from
So
the land down under.
I will say Australia was disappointing as a whole, but if you want to let's take a time machine back to 2016. So Patty Mills led them with obviously like the 21 a game and some pretty crazy efficiency. Their next leading scorer was Aaron Baines at 9 a game, followed by Andrew Bogut, Matthew Dellavedova, David Anderson, Joe Ingles, Ryan Brockhoff, Brock Modem, and then nobody else who played in the NBA past that. The thing is, when you look at the discrepancy between the quality of players that Patty had to deal with, like, don't get me wrong, it's not like Dante Exum was going to save him. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just saying that right now. But he had anchors on his back, anvils on his shoulders, and he Sisyphus that fucking team near a podium finish. Like the times where they came fourth in the group, came out of their group stage, and then just got like bitch slapped by Brazil or punched in the face by Argentina, or the Japan lineup was a little fucked. I won't lie. Losing to Japan is like a shit stain on your legacy.
Yeah.
But Patty Mills he literally died on the floor for this Australia team, and I gotta respect the fuck out of
Oh,
that.
I respect him for. I'm just saying, like, it's not like maybe the roster wasn't as good as people made it out to be, but it's also not like he was playing with like South Korea here or anything. Like he had a legit team around him, and they still didn't place. I'm not knocking Mills; it wasn't his fault at all. I meant more so the roster around him kind of never really picked him up where he needed to be.
Yeah, I mean they've always had a very good team while he's been a participant in the Olympics, but have never been able to break through into that top three. But they've had some good squads for sure, and I would say sorry to Mr. Sider, but very similar to Canada in recent years, and where a lot of talent on the roster, but just haven't been able to
Name
necessarily put
okay,
it
all
all
right, all
together.
right, all right, all right,
Now
hold on.
Canada's definitely more disappointing.
Yeah.
Name okay, check this out because I know you won't be able to. Name two more NBA players. I mean, I'll even say this. If you can name somebody outside of like Dwight Powell, Nemhard, Shea, and Jamal, oh, RJ Barrett,
Dylan
oh,
Brooks, Lou
Kelly
Dort.
Olynyk. That
Oh,
this
what?
this year it's a quality team. If you
Yeah.
want to
Oh, you're
go
talking,
back in the history of Canadian Olympics, the team has not been like good NBA players or quality players. It's been a bunch of guys who you'd look and be like, what does that guy play for the fucking CEBL? What is that guy on the Niagara River Lions? That's a niche pull right there.
Yeah.
You'd be like, did that guy play for the Beijing Sharks last year? Like you would have no idea who these Canadian players are. So go fuck yourself. Sorry that Golden State's gatekeeping Andrew Wiggins. Like come on, man.
Well, look, I mean, compared to most other countries, like Canada has had more NBA talent than
yeah.
than most teams in some of these past Olympics, and not only the Olympics, going back to FIBA as well. They definitely have disappointed in a few of these international tournaments for sure. But Australia is definitely a team that year over year they consistently have pretty good teams. Like I'm pretty sure they only have two or three non NBA players on this past Olympics roster. And they played well too. It's not like they completely disappointed. There's a lot of competition for those top three spots, but
Yo, shout out Jock Landale too. He was probably the
yeah,
second best player on Australia because he was really good too. But
absolutely. Yeah. No, Jock Landale stock is definitely on the up and up right now. He played very well. Duop Reith, on the other hand, maybe not
he
so
should have
much.
been in
But
that post. Jock Landale should have been in that post. The Olympic risers, honestly, like we should have included him in that. But
I thought about it for sure. I thought about it, but really, what came to mind is the fact that Duop Reith was getting benched in favor of some non NBA players, which I thought was
I'm
pretty
saying
shocking.
risers, not fallers.
No, I
Duop
know,
was
I
on.
know, I
Oh,
know. But when I thought back to Australia's roster, it was like Josh Giddey definitely stood out as like the standout performer from that team, alongside Patty Mills, just like consistently always good. Him like it's like him and Dennis Schroeder is like the guys we always expect to like outperform their NBA expectations when it comes to the Olympics. So I kind of expected Patty Mills to do what he was going to do, but Josh Giddey really stood out, and then the fact that Duop Reith like could hardly get minutes, like those were like the two standouts for me. But Jock Landale definitely he performed well for sure.
for my takeaway, I kind of want to piggyback not directly off Mitch, but I want to talk about a specific player from a specific country. And my takeaway is going to be that Evan Fournier's NBA career is officially fucking done. The dude is not very good at basketball anymore. You look at this
Yeah.
past run where he's been one of France's best players in past FIBA tournaments, Olympic tournaments. The dude shot 34% from the field, shit his pants in the final game, was not very good in any of the elimination games. So yeah,
Mm.
Evan Fournier could barely perform on a Pistons team that was hardly breathing last season when he was traded there. He was terrible on the Knicks before that. And yeah, I'm going to say that Evan Fournier's career as an NBA player is quite legitimately over and done with. Maybe he'll appear in a few games that the Pistons get blown out of, but I would be, very surprised if he's on a roster past this current contract he's on.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's on an expiring deal. So I'm in agreement with you. I would be pretty surprised to see him get another NBA deal. Yeah, he was pretty rough in FIBA, and it's not like his last couple seasons in the NBA have been stellar by any means. Like
His feet are in quicksand on defense too. So if he's not making shots, he is about as
yeah, right.
negative of a guy you can have on the court.
He's never been someone that necessarily is like a big piece of your defense, right? So if he's not going to be someone that spreads the floor and can hit shots at a consistent level, his NBA role is definitely in question. Yeah, no doubt about that. He definitely struggled. He was just expected to be a pretty big piece of this French team, and like you said, he shot 34% from the field. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was pretty
I was
rough. It
advocating
felt like
for.
worse than that. Yeah,
I was saying FIBA Fournier was still out there. I was a believer. I was like, hey, look, Fournier's still a good player. Like he's gonna prove it to you these Olympics. Spoiler alert, he did not.
yeah. No, he was really rough. Batum, his sort of running mate on the wing, I think he was pretty solid. But
He was
overall,
fine. He hit some
like
timely shots, but like
definitely, yeah. Batum,
Fournier
yeah,
is meant to be like the engine of that offense with like before Wemby came.
yeah.
Even with Wemby here, I thought he was still going to be like a complimentary good piece. Like he took a good amount of shots. It just none of them seemed to actually go into the hole.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Like as close as the gold medal game was, like it really came down to the wire. And obviously, Steph had a historic stretch of hitting some incredible 3-point shots, which I think will go down in history. I don't really feel like France played all that well, and a lot of it has to do with Evan Fournier just being like essentially nothing
Their
for
offense
them.
was kind of just random. Like there was really no like
It was
set
it was a
game
lot
plan
of
there.
it was a lot of Yabusele, a lot of Matthias Lasort, which coming into the Olympics I was not expecting by any means. I did not think that those two were going to be like sort of the engines of their offense in replacement of Fournier and Batum, but those two guys had a great Olympics and they really carried France in a lot of ways. Like obviously Wemby was like the ceiling raiser for that team, but I was very surprised to see Gershon Yabusele sort of leading the team there in that sense. But despite that, France played a really good gold medal game, and it really took everything from the United States to take home the gold in the Olympics. But yeah, Evan Fournier, we'll see. I think the Pistons need a lot of spacing. We'll see if he
Oh, brother, don't fucking blah. I don't
Can you?
want to
Okay,
hear it.
buddy, you're drunk.
look.
The Pistons need spacing.
The Pistons
Fournier
need spacing.
can
Okay,
shoot a ball towards a basket, bro.
In
Like,
the same way,
Evan
that
Fournier
Tim
in
Hardaway Jr. might do
2024 is
that.
not considered spacing.
Well,
That
look,
needs
in
to
the
be
same
very
way
clear.
that the Pistons traded away Brenton Grimes in exchange for Tim Hardaway Jr. with the hope that he would like space the floor for them a little bit, they're going to expect a lot of the same things from Evan Fournier. I think they might be disappointed by those results, but I think we're going to see a little bit of Evan Fournier out there.
Fun little fact, Mr. Sherman. If you made a line graph of from 2019 onward of Evan Fournier's efficiency, it's literally like this. And then it gets to the Knicks for 1 year, it goes like this, and then last
Yeah.
2 years, boom,
No,
fucking
yeah,
falls off the face of the earth.
It's been rough.
Just ballpark,
Rough,
real quick.
rough is
Hold on,
not
hold on,
even
hold on.
nearly bad enough of a word.
What do you think? What do you think Evan Fournier shot on the year last season?
From the field?
Sure it was
From
30
three.
Pretty sure it was
three
like
last
32%.
Yeah, 32 sounds good.
Was
to
it
me.
32 or was it lower? No, it might have been 28. It might have
It
been
was
28.
under 32%.
Was it 28? 27? No, the whole year it wasn't. You're lying. Now you're wrong.
Give me the number, Mitch. I
Because
need it.
we're not going on like the 22 games of the Knicks because
Oh,
that's
we're
not,
not
I'm not
count- okay.
counting that.
Oh,
No,
okay,
because
okay,
because sorry, because then it's 29. Who fucking cares?
Oh no, but no,
It's-
but I knew the number in
it's-
my head. It was around the 28.
It's 25.
Yeah.
25% from three
I
on
think
4
he-
attempts.
Per game
I-
or total?
No, on 4 attempts again. What the fuck?
I was
4
gonna
attempts.
say
Total
the math
attempts.
is
Nate,
not
what are you talking
mathing
about?
Why the
up.
fuck?
Okay.
If anybody in their right mind ever says total attempts on a season, they don't actually watch the sport of basketball. That's insane. But Evan Fournier has lost the ability to play basketball, Mr. Sherman. So I don't give a fuck if Detroit wins 4 total games on the season. He's not cracking like any meaningful minutes to space the floor.
He's been
Look.
possessed by the ghost of what's his fucking name? Isaiah Livers.
Oh, jeez. Or Joe Harris, who actually just retired.
Joe
from
Harris was a
basketball
good
entirely.
actually
How
good.
dare you bring Joe? How dare you mention Evan Fournier and Joe Harris in the
Yeah,
same
like-
breath, Mr. Sherman?
They belong in
Joe
the
Harris
same sentence.
tailed off. He did not get to the point of Evan Fournier.
I would say in 2024, Joe Harris and Evan Fournier absolutely belong in the same sentence, because as soon as
not-
Joe Harris had that ankle injury, he fell
Joe-
off a cliff and just stopped being a professional basketball player. I don't know
actually
what
sorry.
happened.
Hold
I
on,
was gonna
hold on,
rebuttal,
hold
but
on.
no, I'm not.
Hold
I
on,
think
hold
you're
on,
right.
hold on. if you want to go like, like on the last little part of the ankle injury, sure. But there were multiple years Joe Harris fucking led the league in 3-point percentage. I
yeah,
don't
no,
want
I'm
to
not downplaying that. Joe Harris
never.
won. Joe Harris
I
won the 3-point contest
I
in
don't care
Charlotte.
what context you say. Oh, in the past year, no, do not bring Evan
Oh, no.
Fournier.
Well,
and
Evan
Joe
Fournier
Harris.
at his peak was much better than Joe Harris was.
Orlando Magic Evan Fournier did dick all. I
Then
don't
Joe
care.
Harris absolutely didn't even have a career.
No,
Joe
no,
Harris.
look,
Hold
look,
on. Which
look,
one of
Mitch.
these? Which one of these is a 3-point competition winner? That's what I fucking thought.
Yeah, no,
If
you're
you
right.
put
No.
Evan Fournier in Joe Harris's role in the Nets, he is going to do so much fucking better than Joe Harris did. I will stand by that.
Evan Fournier had crazy fucking usage compared to Harris.
Did you see
the
exactly? Did you see the difficulty of the threes he took? He would be fading to the fucking side, falling out of bounds, and shoot it still. Joe Harris was standing in the corner. You could fucking stick a thumb up his ass, take it back out, and still have time to shoot the ball.
Oh
on
my
a team
God.
that employed Mario Hezonja, fucking anybody could have put up 18 a game.
Joe Harris was on had at least people that would give him the ball and feed him to an open spots like D'Angelo Russell and Dinwiddie.
This is where the thinking goes like that. You just said Spencer Dinwiddie in the same.
He was good for the Nets for like 3 years. That's before he became retarded.
He was okay, brother.
He was.
If you're no,
is okay and good not synonyms?
No.
Anyway, all right. There's plenty of Fournier and Joe Harris talk. I just want to say, when Joe Harris won the 3-point competition, he did come to my college to practice shooting for the 3-point competition. So shout out to Joe Harris for using UNC Charlotte.
Good thing you mentioned that. I don't think anyone could have lived without hearing that information. Exactly.
That's why I had to get that off my chest. Anyway, we can move on from the Evan Fournier talk. I want to get to my takeaway from this Olympics. I have two actually, but the biggest one, just the fact that we got to see Steph, KD, and LeBron all play together. I just wanted to take a second to talk about that. Nate can make a face at me if he wants. I think it's a special moment. You know, these are three of the greatest, maybe 15 players of all time, all playing on the same team together. I mean, it was a pretty historic moment, and not only just the fact that they were playing together, but they did produce some historic moments for us. Like obviously, KD became the Team USA's all-time Olympic leading scorer, which was a pretty special moment. Steph, not only in the Serbia game in the semifinal, but also the gold medal game against France. Absolutely ridiculous performance from him in both of those games, which will go down in history. LeBron, obviously, from start to finish, was sort of the engine of this team. I think it was a really special moment just to see these three guys playing on the same team together, having their sort of last run, their final dance, if you will, with Team USA in the Olympics. Now, KD and Curry specifically didn't exactly shut down the idea that they will play in the next Olympics, which we'll get to in the second half of this episode. But LeBron, obviously, this is the end of his Team USA run. I just thought it was a special moment to see those three guys on the court together. I mean, some of the greatest players we've ever seen. I would say the three greatest players of our generation, without really much debate there. I mean, those are the three guys for sure. I just thought it was a special moment. Who do you what? I
was saying Jokic. I don't know what generation you're considering. Like,
I would consider them sort of different. Those guys are at a different phase.
Okay, like the 2010s era, I guess. Yeah, I would.
Yeah, exactly. They're sort of like the basketball we grew up watching.
Yeah, I agree.
Like those were the three faces of the league for many years.
Now, hold on. I know we're getting all sappy that we got to see them play together, but do we really think that the idea of them potentially, like, if LeBron stays in the league for two more years, oh
boy,
Wardell and the Slim Reaper will be 37 or 38. Mm-hmm. I'm not writing off the fact that they could still come together on an NBA.
Maybe they could, but that team's going to be dog shit. Like, they're going to get ran out of the league.
Look, if KD and Curry decide they want to play in the next Olympics, they're getting a spot. Like, it's up to them whether or not they're going to.
I thought you meant like an NBA team.
I'm talking NBA team. He's drunk, and he assumed that I was talking about 4 years from now. Because LeBron is not suiting up.
No, LeBron is not. No, LeBron is not. I meant
KD
and Curry. If KD and Curry want to play in the next Olympics, they will. Like, it's up to them whether or not they get a roster spot.
Good thing that has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Right over your head again, but that's okay. I'm saying because here's the thing: if LeBron decides that he's playing 2 more years in the NBA, then Wardell, Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, big three coming together
on one NBA team.
There we go. Yeah,
now we're on the same page. All right, now we're on the same page.
He did it.
Okay.
He did it. I'm saying I'm not writing off that, like, kind of, because remember we got the idea of, like, LeBron's joking about the banana boat and, oh, Chris Paul's on a vet min, he could come over. This would be a whole nother, like, fuck you, even in their late 30s, early 40s. Like, I will say this. Nate's like, that team would get run out of the fucking league. I think that team legitimately, you could fucking put, okay, so Curry, KD, LeBron. Give me Kem Birch at the 5, and give
Yeah,
me
okay, goodbye.
Yeah, what?
hold on, and then give me Fontecchio at the 3. Easy.
Oh, I love some Fontecchio as like a
But this is what I'm saying.
role
Like
player.
like those 3 players. You mean to tell me even at that point of the career, the echelon of you give them a good like set of role players and fucking send them
You
out
give
there?
him some athleticism to defend the perimeter and maybe a shot blocker at the rim. Yeah, I
Yeah,
like that. I'm
yeah,
with you, Mitch.
maybe if they're like, but like again, you think that they're gonna all give you like consistently good performances at 40 plus years of age. I'm not saying they can't, but like bodies wear down, and I don't think Kevin Durant or Curry are in nearly as like insane shape as like LeBron is at his age. Like I think LeBron being able to perform.
Hold on. You know the best years of Curry, like 2016 will be like, yeah, some of the best peak basketball we've ever seen. But the best individual years of Curry have been in the last 3 years when his body is getting to that point of wearing down.
Percentage wise, no, the fuck it is not.
Brother. If you can we should all sit down and watch film of the finals matchup from Boston and Golden State.
Oh, I've done plenty, Mitch.
That iteration of Curry would make a grown man come in his jorts.
That's
bro.
also 2 years ago, and we're talking about 3 more years in the future. So again, that's like not even the same player.
A guy whose body is not, his entire game does not rely on.
It doesn't matter about him. If it requires athleticism, you need to be like at least have the energy to go out and play 82 games.
Curry is about as well conditioned as it gets.
Dude,
like,
I'm not saying it's just Curry. I'm saying if it's all 3 of them, if you're really relying on those 3 players to be your bet, like to lead your team every night, I'm not saying that they can't do it. I'm just saying there's younger and better teams out there that I think will run them off of the floor. I don't know how, even if you have good defenders around them, you're not getting all NBA level defenders if you have those 3 guys in your team, unless they're all on minimums, which I don't think the league would allow. Like I genuinely think they'll do something to block that from happening if that's the case.
I'm just saying,
there's nothing you could say to make me even think this is like logical. Like, I'm sorry.
All right. I'm not going to argue with you that it's illogical. I said it would be I'm not running out the option that this is a possible reunion.
But you think they could win a championship?
Assembly.
I thought that's the question.
Oh, I definitely think they could win a championship, but
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, if we get the 3 of them on a team together, I mean, in terms of what the rest of the roster looks like, I mean, that's anything is possible at that
Unless
point,
it's in the next 2 years, no.
That would be.
I don't know how the hell we got on this topic. I was just trying to reminisce on the fact that we got to see 3 all-time greats play on one team together.
We got on this topic because I was like, you're writing off the opportunity of it ever happening, period. And I'm saying like that it is something that could happen because again, it gets down to the brass tacks of we've seen KD be soft enough to switch teams multiple times. So what's to stop him from saying, "Hey, Bron, remember 2017? How about we recreate that, but with our boy Wardell over here, you know, like."
Well, also the thing that also makes me think that's not going to happen too is that Kevin Durant just said recently that he's like seeing the league like get a lot younger, and now he's starting to think about like retirement himself. So I think KD's really got like 2-3 years, and I think because I know how much he loves basketball and whatnot, but I think if he doesn't win a ring within the next 2 to 3 years, like he could just like be like, I don't want to do this anymore.
But what perfect way to go out than with the guy that you battled your entire life
but LeBron's
with, and the guy that brought you the trophies that you had in your case.
If LeBron is here for more than 2 more years.
Well, I was shocked him suiting up for the Olympics, and he just showed me that he was the best player on the floor at times.
Hasn't he been planning to play in this Olympics for years? Like 2-3 years.
Like the whole Noah Lyles thing that really inspired him to like play in this Olympics and like assemble the Avengers, so to speak.
Yeah.
I feel like for sure. All right, Mitch, I will entertain this hypothetical for about another 2 minutes, and then we need to move on. But
we don't.
What team do they land on? Like, did they end up on the Warriors, or like what team do they end up playing for? I think that have
to be it.
I mean, it would be Golden State. Considering
it would have to be the Warriors, yeah.
Like considering the youth that they have to like kind of entertain those contracts, and considering the fact that like let's be real, like Draymond's probably not going to be a Warrior for.
Yeah, that'd be so. Actually, I would be for that just for the purposes of Draymond having to sit fucking like on another team or in retirement and having to watch
Draymond to Detroit, make it happen.
Oh, okay.
Make it happen.
Draymond Green deserves nothing more.
Draymond Green and Isaiah Stewart on the same team might be a war crime.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. The Isaiah Stewart part of it. Yeah, no. I mean, Draymond Green went to Michigan State, so him playing in Detroit, I think in some sense he might be okay with that. I think he deserves in many ways to play for the Pistons. Yeah, I think he deserves that in many ways. But the other takeaway I wanted to get to, I know it's sort of maybe like an obvious one, but just Wembanyama, man, in general, just Wembanyama.
Is he good?
But he's pretty damn good, Nate. Yeah, I don't know how much you've seen of him. He's pretty damn good. I'm just thinking about, because with the whole Steph KD and LeBron thing, like we don't know whether or not any of them will be in the next Olympics. I would say more likely than not that they aren't. We'll see with KD and Curry, but Wembanyama, like he was the driving force for France in this Olympics. Obviously, finished with the silver medal. 4 years from now, like I'm thinking about 4 years from now, what Wembanyama can look like. The USA needs to put forth their best effort. Like obviously falling short in FIBA in the previous FIBA World Cup is sort of what inspired the best players of Team USA to come together and participate in these Olympics. But they're going to need that sort of best effort again. Like they need the best 12 in 2028. Otherwise, Wembanyama could lead France to gold, and I would not be shocked at all. Like
We need
what, Nate?
clone Nas Reed. Get this? 13 Nas Reeds or 12 Nas Reeds.
12 Nas Reeds. Well, I mean, that would you just have to hand in the
That
gold
team
right
would lose
away.
to
It
Puerto
wouldn't even.
Rico.
What?
Look, no, my point is like Wembanyama is just so damn good. Like if he had a 40-point triple double in the gold medal game and just went absolutely crazy, would I be shocked? Like maybe a little bit, but ultimately, like I'd be like, okay, it's Wembanyama. Like he's just different. So like 4 years from now, France is gonna be like this is about as good of a chance
See?
as I think they're gonna have in a long time to take gold from the USA, because not only is it Wembanyama at 24 years old approaching his prime, but pretty clearly, like the biggest flaw that this France team had in 2024 is their guard play. Like it was Nando De Colo and then just like
Hello,
praying for
Frank
production outside of
Ntilikina.
him. Okay, Frank
Frank
Ntilikina,
the,
he had a
Frank
good
the
run.
Tank,
Don't get me
brother.
wrong.
He was
I
good.
kind of, given his offensive
Frank
skills,
the Tank, brother.
I hardly think of him as a
Blood Cooper
guard.
flag, employ Frank, brother.
I hardly think of Frank Ntilikina as a guard given his offensive skills, but no,
That's
he did play
fair.
well in the Olympics. But they got this guy Nolan Traore, who's a potential top 5 pick in this upcoming draft. Think about him 4 years from now if he actually does pan out as like a top 5 pick caliber player. France could be pretty damn solid, and I think this is maybe the best chance that any team has to knock off Team USA for gold. It's been 6 straight years now with USA winning gold in basketball. And I'm just thinking forward to 2028, and I'm thinking Wembanyama approaching his prime, like it's going to
It's
be
okay.
an
It's
incredible
okay.
game.
It's okay. You know why? Because I
Why is
think
that?
people like to forget about this guy a lot. And I'm not saying he's as good as Wemby, but the US has this guy named Chet Holmgren. He's
Mm.
pretty damn good at basketball, and if there's any guy that's going to be able to match up to Wemby, even decently well in their prime, it's going to be Chet. And I think, 4 years from now, we could be seeing a much different physical Chet. Wemby too, obviously, but we could be seeing a much different looking Chet Holmgren. And I'm still super high on Chet. I think he's going to be a top 10 player for many years to come in the NBA when he's at his peak. I'm very high on Chet. I think there's very few weaknesses with Chet. So I think with him, you put him up against Wemby. No, is he going to lock him down? No, but he's going to make life a lot more difficult for Wemby than probably any other guy that the U.S. even has, coming up, even as young players. Looking at Alex Sarr, I don't think Sarr is going to be someone that,
Well,
becomes.
I had to break it for you. Sarr
Well,
is going to play
Alex
for
Sarr
France, so
cannot play
Sarr
for
is going to
Team
be on the
USA.
French team.
Sarr's-
That's like the mistake I made when I was
Yeah.
younger, and I was like, why isn't Kristaps Porzingis on Team USA? Sometimes my brain fucking forgets to function. So yes, of course, Alex Sarr is not going to be on Team USA.
No,
but again,
he'll be helping
that
out
was
Wemby,
not a good
actually.
example.
No.
Let me think of other tall guys. Like, okay, Michael Porter Jr., terrible example, but he's a 6'10" guy who's long and
not to
You could have
interrupt
pulled
you,
like
but like
Jaren Jackson Jr. You could have
no,
pulled
look,
anybody
yeah,
else.
no,
but you're like,
that's sort of his point. Yeah, like we look at 2028. We're gonna get to that in a second, but like Team USA obviously has an incredible plethora of like talented guards, but the front court when it comes to American bigs, it's pretty thin. Like it is Chet Holmgren, and then like we're kind of just like piecing it together in a lot of ways. Like I'm gonna pray that
Nah,
like Bam and AD come back.
I got crazy
but
lineups for you.
Oh, I know we will get to what 2028's Team USA roster might look like, but yeah, like that is the big thing is like we got Wemby, Gobert, maybe doesn't play by then. We'll see what he still looks like 4 years from now. But yeah, it's Wemby, it's Alex Sarr, it's Tajon Salon, Zachary Rissache.
oh my God, Dijon Salon!
He might be a bust. Okay, I get that. But
Nah,
the theoretical what France might look like in 2028, like they got a ton of size, and like size has always been like the biggest key to like taking down Team USA is like Team USA loaded with guards. The 35th best American guard in the NBA is like way better than what most other countries have to offer. But the front court is easily Team USA's biggest weakness, and it seems like it's going to be France's biggest strength come 2028. So I think the 2028 gold medal game presumably is going to be USA versus France. I think that could be an all-time historic game. Like I think that's going to be an incredible matchup for a lot of reasons.
especially if Traore ends up being as good as a lot of
Exactly.
people are expecting
Exactly.
him to be.
Yeah.
Like, see,
Yeah.
with me, I don't know where to be on him yet because I haven't scouted him a
Yeah.
ton. But like
Same.
right now, from what I've read, it sounds like he could be, like a not Luca level, but like a super tall point guard that can kind of do it all.
Right.
Or he could end up being fucking Frank Ntilikina, who's a 6'5"
Well,
point guard,
I think
six
the
six
better
point guard that
comparison is
doesn't.
probably Killian Hayes. If he doesn't work out, it's probably like Killian Hayes-esque because Killian Hayes
I
was in that
consider
like Goran Dragic, like Luca light type of archetype, and it obviously didn't work out. He's no longer. Well, actually, I guess he is in the
I didn't
NBA.
really mean play style.
Nice,
I just
but
meant in the fact that he's a big guard that instead of
yeah,
being good at everything is just good at nothing except for like being big.
yeah. We'll see how it works out. I'm
But again,
intrigued. I haven't done scouting yet, but
I
yeah,
think right now if you look at the Teams USA's really their answer or like the biggest possible solution they have for Wemby, I think the only guy you can look towards right now is Chet.
probably. Yeah. No, we will. We're gonna take a quick break in a second here before we talk about the potential Team USA 2028 roster. But yeah, the biggest question is like, who guards Wemby? Like it's gonna be Chet. Like I definitely agree with you. That's probably their best option if 80 especially doesn't come back by then. But yeah,
Yeah.
the front court is gonna be the
Or
question there.
what if Evan Mobley actually becomes like really good at basketball eventually?
Yeah, no,
That's also another
there's a
interesting one,
lot
I
of
think.
people that believe that is the case, and I would say that I'm one of those people. But yeah, okay, we'll go to the break now, and then when we come back, we'll discuss the Team USA 2028 roster. So coming back now, I want to have a quick discussion on what Team USA 2028 might look like because, like I said, I think that in this next Olympics, it might be the best chance that any country has to dethrone this run of Team USA sort of dominating basketball in the Olympics. So I want to have a discussion about what the best roster for the US might look like. My apologies to Mr. Sider. We can have a quick discussion about Canada if you'd
No,
like.
I don't think we
No,
I
will.
think that's pretty
I don't.
cut and
There's no
dry.
reason. There's
Yeah,
no
I
reason
think
to
it's pretty
talk.
cut and dry.
We do not have Canadians who are going to be all NBA level players coming in for
You got one.
2028. That's just
You have
Well,
one.
well, you actually have two.
Who's the other?
coming.
Hold on. Who's
Come.
the other?
His name is Reginald Finkelweed.
No. RJ Barrett is
I'm
no.
saying. I'm saying
I'm
coming
shut-
into 2028. Like there's not
Right.
going to be somebody
Isn't Scotty
who's
is Scotty eligible for Team Canada because he was
Not
born in?
yet. No, he would have to be
I thought
be
he was born in
naturalized.
Canada.
you
What?
would have you need okay.
Scotty
Scotty
Barnes
was
is
born
from
in
Florida.
Canada.
Scotty Barnes is
No,
from Florida. I
He's
don't know.
from Florida. I'm almost positive he has at least family from Canada then.
Mitch?
Scotty Barnes was born in West Palm Beach, Florida, brother.
Yeah, I don't
He has family then in Canada. I know
might
that
have
for a
a
fact.
he might have a cousin in Canada.
No, it's more
Like,
than that.
Okay, but that again, that's not how citizenship or
I know,
nationalism
I know,
works
I
at
didn't- I didn't-
all.
Well, it actually can. You can still gain citizenship. Joel Embiid gained citizenship for France. Like there are loopholes.
There are, yeah, just like Jordan Clarkson playing for the Philippines. Yeah, Scotty Barnes could definitely be playing for Team Canada by 2028. But as of right now, no, he is not part
Okay,
of Team Canada.
see, this is why we ask questions, so you learn things that you didn't previously know. So now I have the answer, and I
Well,
won't
look,
make that
I think
mistake again.
as far as Team Canada goes, they have to pray that Zach Edey decides he wants to
Yeah.
participate. For some reason, he decided he didn't
Or like
play
a new
before, but
Canadian center spawns out of like thin air.
could be,
Because
yeah.
Dwight, if they're rocking Dwight
As long
Powell
as it's
in the
not
starting
Dwight, yeah,
lineup
as long as
again,
it's not Dwight Powell, I like their odds to maybe medal for the first time since the very first time that basketball was in the Olympics in 1936. But anyway, I want to talk about Team USA and what their 2028 roster might look like. And I think we have to start obviously with the incumbents. Like when it comes to Team USA, there is a lot of seniority that sort of takes precedence for who makes these roster spots. So looking at who was already on the 2024 team, I think absolute locks for 2028: Devin Booker, Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum, Bam Adebayo. Those are like the four guys that I think absolutely by 2028 they will be eligible for this team. The only two guys that are sort of in question, I think, like Anthony Davis will probably still be good enough. It's a matter of whether or not his body can hold up.
No, he's
35 year
not.
old.
Yeah,
35-year-old Porcelain Davis. I don't think so.
yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think the United
I
States
was gonna
would
say, I think I don't even love him, but I think Hallie has to like no, like I don't.
Oh
you
yeah,
don't think
oh, you're right. I did skip past Halliburton. You're right. I almost forgot about him. He was like he was essentially the
I almost forgot about half the roster.
he was the 13th man on the 12-man roster, so he kind of slipped over my head. But yeah, those guys definitely take precedence in terms of taking roster spots.
I really saw someone.
Go ahead.
Someone included 34-year-old Derek White, and I laughed.
That's the thing is like he was really valuable, I think, for this current run. But yeah, 4 years from now, it's hard to imagine that he's like still deserving.
There
of a
is
spot.
a Derek White replacement that'll be.
We'll
His
get
name is
we'll-
Emmanuel
we'll
Quickly.
hold on. We'll
No.
get to that in a second. But I think if Anthony Davis wants to play, he's still like physically capable of it come 4 years from now. I think he'll probably still deserve a spot. But Bam, Tatum, Booker, and yeah, Halliburton. Those
So
guys
how many spots
absolutely
does
will
that
get a
leave?
spot. So
How many did you?
go ahead.
How many did we name? I'm trying to think how many spots there are left then to fill out.
Halliburton, Ant, Booker, Tatum, Bam is a 5.
Okay,
So
so
we'll say, all right, we'll say for argument's purpose, just so that we
eight.
can have some more names to throw out there. We'll say that Derek White and Anthony Davis are not playing in the 2028 Olympics. We'll
Yeah,
exclude
no.
them, and we'll see what else sort of is available. So that leaves 7 spots open. It's only a 12-man roster. Now, obviously, there's a ton of names. We can look at the U.S. select team that scrimmaged against the Olympic team in Las Vegas prior to the Olympics. I think a lot of those guys are going to be sort of like the first priority. Like the biggest name, I think, like Cade Cunningham to me is like the biggest name. I think absolutely will deserve a spot 4 years from now. Like that's someone that I'm looking at as someone who could be actually
Mitch
like a
didn't
very
like
big
that one.
piece. Mitch, yeah, Mitch didn't seem to like that one. What do you
I
have to
don't.
say
I
about
have
it?
no issue with. I love Cade.
Do you have some
Yeah,
hesitations
I
about Cade,
mean,
Mitch?
no hesitations, but I think like he would be named like 14 on my list.
Hmm.
Like again, like I think there's
Well, I feel like we should knock off the no-brainers first, or like the
okay,
ones.
hold on. Okay, yeah, so
Wait, okay.
instead of
Who do you think is a
debating that,
no-brainer? Yeah,
Oh,
who's
I
like a
think
no?
I
Go
I
ahead.
think right off
Brunson.
the
I think
rip,
Brunson's a no-brainer.
Jalen
Considering,
Brunson.
assuming he's only 27 right now. That's 4 years from now. He'd be 31. So assuming he's still relatively close to the level he's at right now, I don't see how, especially with him being left off of this past team. How is he not?
I mean, we're
Are
talking
you
about
just gonna be a Celtics fan for right now?
well, we're talking about a 6 foot nothing guard who, at 31 years old, I'm not convinced that he's going to be
Did
the same
Steph
player
Curry
he is
not just
now.
play in the Olympics and was the
Steph,
best goddamn player on the court?
Steph Curry's the greatest shooter of all time. We're not comparing him to Brunson. Surely we're
Okay,
not
hold
comparing
on.
Steph Curry to
Dion,
Brunson.
But
Mitch,
that,
I
but
just
that we
want
weren't talking about
no
that.
no
You're talking
no.
about his height.
No,
Mitch, go
hold on.
ahead.
I want you to just for a second, if you're going to take, because again, Brunson and Jalen Brown will be the same age, and
Hmm.
Jalen Brown still struggles to make a left-handed floater. So if you want to be like 31-year-old Jalen Brown will be unequivocally a better player than Jalen Brunson,
I
that's
didn't
a
say
I'm just
that.
no, I'm just saying, but for sake
Uh huh.
of the team, I gotta side with Nate. I think
You're also
Jalen.
talking about a guy whose game requires almost zero athleticism. Like
All
he is
right,
all skill.
before I was on his side, and now he just came over the top
No,
to
I'm just
dig another
adding on
slate.
to it.
So
Go, Mitch.
instead,
No, Mitch, go.
so instead, I'll say I think Jalen. No, just kidding. I think Jalen Brunson should make that team. I mean, like I was gonna say Paulo Banchero would be a no
Yeah,
brainer
that's the
on that
second.
True.
Yeah.
list.
Yeah, a former Team USA member. Yeah, you're right. He's probably someone that's higher on the
And
list. Yeah,
Paolo does
easily.
can do a lot of things on the court. So I think Paolo's
Yeah.
going to be another no-brainer.
Yeah. No, that's a good name to mention. Yeah, for sure. Because
Zion could be if he's healthy.
yeah,
All
Zion
right,
is very much up in the air. But to go back to
all right.
Paolo, yeah, he
Holy
was
fuck!
he was a nice piece for them in the FIBA run, as disappointing as the run was in general. I was very intrigued by them using him as a 5. Like to me, Paolo, especially in international play, he's very intriguing as a small ball 5. Just given the way he can sort of space the floor. I know he's not like a knockdown shooter, right? But like his ability to handle the ball and stretch out the offense, I think is very interesting. It's something that not a lot of countries can really combat with him at the 5 or even at the 4 paired with another big. I think it works pretty well. So yeah, Paolo having the history with Team USA. Now I will say, just as a quick side note, I wish that Paolo played for Italy. I wish that most of these guys who are eligible to play for other countries did decide to play for other countries, and be obviously being the biggest culprit of it.
I get
I just
that,
want to
but
see the I just want to see the
Paolo's not
competition.
actually even Italian. Like he's just of Italian descent. Like
Yeah, right. But
I'd probably
I
rather
just
see
want to
him
see
play
more
for the
competition.
US.
I just think, as much as I'm talking about 2028 being an opportunity for another country to take gold from Team USA, it's still not like I'm with Zach Harper, as he said on the last episode. Like no one has caught up to Team USA. It's still not really close in terms of the talent level. So I really want to see anyone who could play for another country to suit up for them, just to sort of balance the playing field a little bit more.
I
But
agree.
Paolo is a nice piece for Team USA for sure. And I think he probably is on the 2028 roster.
I agree, but I think the thing that's interesting is it's going to get to the point where, like, if we are at the next Olympics, say how it is like it is right now, the U.S. doesn't have even a top 5 player in the league right now. Because who are the top 5 players in the league? Like,
Well, look, a Knicks fan and a Celtics fan talking here. Tatum or Brunson should be in that top 5.
yeah, but apparently Brunson might not even make the team. So,
Well,
um, Well, I think another guy that'll piggyback off Paolo is going to be Scotty, but I think it's so hard right now because you don't know. Like, what if someone from this, like, what if Cooper Flag is already an MVP level candidate at his third year in the season? Like, I'm not. It's obviously a
I have
crapshoot.
4 names before Scotty even shows up. So I mean, like,
Yeah,
he was
Scotty's like on the back end of my list.
I like the guys that can do everything and the guys that can play all.
He's on the back end of Dion's list because Dion's a hater. He's on the back end of my list, so I don't sound like a homer. You know?
Oh, come on.
That's the balance.
Come on. No,
But-
look, I think Scotty is, definitely like in the mix.
Let's focus on finishing the list first before we
Okay.
talk about cuts.
All right,
'Cause,
wait,
like,
so
let's hold the
let's
fuck
mark-
in for a
Let's
second.
mark this down. So we have Jalen Brunson.
Sure.
We
I'll
have
give you
Cowabunga-
Jalen Brunson.
Yes, you will give me Jalen Brunson because it's a fucking no-brainer. Second, we're gonna go Paolo. Should we conclude Jalen Brown or like?
Well, the
were we
Jalen
doing-
Brown the Jalen Brown thing
I
is
don't even think
interesting.
so.
Because, well, it's interesting because Steve Kerr will reportedly not be a part of Team USA for the next Olympics, which, side note, thank God. We don't have to get into it too deep because I feel like it's been talked about enough.
Because
Steve
we're
Kerr-
trying to stay on.
Yeah,
the
we need to
focus.
stay on
So
target
let's
as
fill
well.
out the roster.
Yeah.
Who is going to be on the roster?
But I'm saying
we
with Steve
dragged
Kerr-
Steve
with Steve Kerr
Kerr
not
for
being there-
25 minutes. I know, but we dragged Steve Kerr for 25 minutes. We
Yes,
talked about
exactly.
Steve Kerr being a terrible coach.
That's a beaten horse. So I'm just saying though, with Steve Kerr not being there, I think there is a possibility that Jalen Brown does actually participate. I think there's good reason to believe that he would be, worthy of being on the 12-man roster. And I think we should expect that he would want to be a part of it. So we can throw Jalen Brown in there. Jalen Brunson, yes, Jalen Brunson will most likely deserve to be on the list even at 31 years old. I will say that much. But yeah, him alongside the 5 guys we mentioned from this 2024 team.
That's 7 or 8. We have 8 now.
8, yep.
Yeah, I think Cooper Flag. I'm all in on Cooper Flag. Like I think he's.
Hold on. Is that the name that is immediately next? Because you're skipping a couple. Like,
Yeah, let's go the surefire ones. I know this is hard for you to process right
To me,
now.
Cooper Flag is surefire. Like I'm all.
But
in
hold on.
what I'm
But
saying.
okay, here's the thing. Over players who are going to be 26 and 27 by the time that this rolls around.
Yeah,
They're
no.
not going to go give
No.
Cooper
Yes.
Flag a spot if
Hold
it's
on.
close between like him and.
Hold on.
I
So
disagree.
I'm agreeing with
Go
you.
ahead.
No,
Go
no,
ahead,
no.
Mitch.
No, Dion. So like you're gonna skip over Chet for Cooper Flag here. For a second. Chet's gonna be 26.
Chet's a lock.
I
That's
just
9.
want like
Well,
to see where your head's at.
It's
See,
not
now,
necessarily that.
but now you're hesitating, which means it's not a direct.
Well, no,
complete,
what I mean is
no
like
hesitation.
Flag and Chet play very different roles. So it's not necessarily that Flag is over Chet.
No, but
to me-
no. What I'm saying is list them in the order that they would immediately be in. Don't jump to Flag because he's hot commodity right now. Like bring up why a guy like Tyrese Maxey might not be or might be, or why Chet
Okay.
is a lock as number
Sure.
9 kind of thing. Because
Sure.
Cooper Flag is purely hypothetical. We're talking about like right now. There are guys in the league who would have that
For
9,
all we
10,
know,
11.
Cooper could be a bust. Like I'm not saying I believe
All
that,
right.
but like
Wow. Okay.
Hold
Hold
on.
on.
I'm not saying
Look, the reason
not-
why I think Flag is such a lock, we just saw him scrimmage against Team USA. He
Mhm.
didn't look out of place. He looked like he was one of the guys playing
Yeah,
against Team
But
USA.
NBA players who are going to be in their prime at that instance, there are 2 names that I think you just completely soared over.
Who are they, Mitch? Go ahead.
I
lay
think
'em on me.
Chet Holmgren was an easy one to say
Sure.
before Cooper Flag.
Sure.
Like I think Chet would have been like you know what? This is the guy that we just talked about being able to be like the Cthulhu Wemby stopper. This was
Exactly.
like the person that you could potentially throw. And inexplicably, and I'll say this because I think that it is kind of blasphemy that he was even left off of the USA basketball pool, would be Tyrese Maxey. I think a guard who is going to push the pace to do something that Team USA did not have this year, to legitimately be break from break at every single end of the floor. A Knicks fan who doesn't watch Sixers games might make that face, but for the rest of the NBA world,
Tyrese torched the Knicks in the playoffs. I know how good
Exactly.
Tyrese is.
I'm just you're scrunching your face up like Maxey. Why not Donovan Mitchell? Why not De'Aaron Fox? Why? But this is what I'm saying.
Donovan Mitchell's an interesting one.
He'll be 31. I don't
Yeah.
think he'll have the same kind of
He's an interesting
all
one.
first
We'll-
team
Yeah,
level
we'll
kind
see.
of play.
We'll
by
see what
then.
Donovan Mitchell's capable of at 31 years old.
I just didn't
So,
say
okay,
Donovan Mitchell because
Let
I
me
think
just
he's more
let me just frame
athleticism
this.
based
Let
than
me
some
just
of the other
frame this in a
guys.
way that the listeners can clearly comprehend. So I think I will concede Brunson probably deserves a spot. We'll give it to him. Okay, so Brunson's the starting point guard. I'll say that much just to appease Nate here. So
You don't have to say he's the starting point guard. He just should be on the roster.
Well, look, if he's, I think we'll give him the starting spot, right? So I think starting lineup, we're looking at Brunson, Booker, and Ant on the wings, Tatum starting at the 4, and Bam starting at the 5. This is assuming that AD is not still on the team, right? So
Chet,
Bam's going to start at the 5. No, I think. Well, okay, we could talk about Chet, but Bam has the seniority there, so I gave him the starting spot. So that's your starting 5: Brunson, Booker, Ant, Tatum, Bam. Off the bench, you have 7 spots remaining. I think Howley gets a spot given the seniority of being already on the team. Chet, yes, I will say definitely Chet deserves a spot 4 years from now. Cooper Flag to me absolutely is a lock. I think before Tyrese Maxey gets involved, I think we need to talk about Ja Morant. To me, Ja Morant is clearly the better player.
I'd way
And
put
we
Ja
could talk
before
about,
him.
obviously he's not like a knockdown shooter, but I think about like the guards that we saw play for these other countries. It's Vasily Micic, it's Patty Mills, who yes
Yeah.
probably deserves a statue in Sydney, but like as far as NBA talent goes, like he's bottom of the barrel for being quite honest. I think Ja Morant would absolutely dominate in this sort of setting with his speed, his ability to get to the rim. Like he would be a problem. I think Ja
I'll
takes priority over
I don't
Maxey.
think
I'll
there's room
be
for on this team for it's going to be one of De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Maxey, or John Moran. I don't think
De'Aaron Fox is not making this
No,
roster.
De'Aaron Fox is
De'Aaron
not
Fox
making
is
it.
not making this
You
I got
guys-
roster.
all the respect in the world for De'Aaron Fox, but there's no way.
He would not make it over.
No,
No,
he doesn't make
no.
it over these guys. I like to mention he's like on the outside looking in. Like he's a name worth talking about. I'm glad you mentioned him at the very least, but no, I don't think he gets in.
I just don't understand how it's like a consensus that Maxey's better than him. I just don't understand that.
We're talking about 4 years from now. You got to remember, like,
Yeah, like this
I
will be.
think Fox versus Maxey, like today on August 15th, it's a worthy debate, and I might even end up on the side of Fox. But we're talking about 2028. Yeah, I absolutely think Maxey.
How old will Fox be then?
31.
31.
Yeah.
And so Max would be what, like 28 or
27.
27? He's 23 right now?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
Okay,
what I'm saying.
Okay,
This is
yeah,
what I'm
you're.
saying.
Oh, no,
At-
yeah, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you.
yeah.
23 at 23 years of age, 26 and
But
6.
Jaws also
like,
what? Like Jaws what? 25, 26?
Yeah, so he'll be in the
Yeah,
thick
they'll
of his
both
prime.
they'll both be in the thick of their
Ja.
prime.
We can have a discussion about Ja in general. Like I think people have kind of forgotten about him because he essentially missed all of last season.
I have clocked out on his availability if it's going to continue to be a problem with kind of like on the court and off the court.
Yeah,
The ankle lingering. I'm not saying that this will affect him like, going forward, but I also do want to kind of point this out that Maxey is younger than Ja. Like that's a thing that people don't think about like at all.
Yeah,
But like they'll both be in the thick of their prime. They're both very similar archetypal players. While
I'm interested to see Maxey post Embiid because I'm not exactly sure how great Maxey is yet. Because I know he's a great sidekick. I'm not sure he's proven he can even be a number one on a playoff team. And De'Aaron Fox and John Morant have both done that.
Yeah, that sort of plays into my
Ooh,
point that I think
putting
Ja
De'Aaron
takes
Fox into
precedent
the
over Maxey.
I mean, De'Aaron Fox has been a number one on a play-in team, and it did
Playoff
not.
team.
Sorry, a playoff
A third
level
seed.
contention team. He's just not like a player that I'm giving him the torch and saying, you know what, you got this, Bucko. Like,
Oh,
yeah,
I know.
also-
but
well-
it's just to really rebut the thing about Maxey. It's not really saying that De'Aaron Fox should be the guy on the team.
I guess actually to argue against my own point, like Ja and Fox definitely don't strike me as guys that like would fit into like being the 8th man on Team USA, whereas like Maxey definitely strikes me as someone.
That's
who
why
could
I
fit into
think
the
like
role a lot better.
Halliburton's way better to
So-
have as the bench point guard, the guy that
Yeah.
runs the bench unit, than to have either of those guys.
I'll give you that much. I just think out of all the guys we're mentioning right now, Ja is definitely the most talented. And
I'll
we
give
look
you
at
that.
4 years from now.
100%.
Yeah, so from that standpoint, I feel like Ja probably deserves a spot. Maxey, yeah, I will concede that he would definitely like fit in better.
Maxey's
But-
on the border, yeah, totally. Like, and especially with
Yeah.
his shooting, like, definitely, probably, maybe, a more sound fit than Ja would. It's just depend. Like, again, that's why I actually
chose
like that
Derek
we're-
White over Jaylen Brown for fit. I'm just
Exactly.
saying.
Well,
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
Like, so exactly. So I'm not clouding that out, but I like how we're doing this now. Is talking about the starting lineup versus the bench lineup because I think that's very important because they're going to
Yeah.
pick players based on what rotations that they envision. So, like, I think again, you see those 5 starting, and then maybe you put Chet in there instead of Bam. I have no clue what that's going to be yet, depending on the matchup. But I think so. I don't think they're going to be guard heavy. I think that's what. One of the things they saw this year is that they had a bunch of guards who sometimes wouldn't, like, Derek White didn't play all that much. Like, he played a little bit. Halliburton had some DNPs. I'm not saying like I think it's having the right forwards is going to I think be the biggest emphasis point for them because they're going to be playing against some of the best players in the world from Europe, and these other countries are the majority of them are forwards.
Yeah. Yeah, the talent internationally definitely skews towards the forward and the center positions, whereas in America, like it's definitely the guards. Like that is the deepest position in the United States for sure. So
What
yeah,
we have 8 now, or how do we do?
So okay, so we have Brunson, Ant, Booker, Tatum, and then Bam or Chet at the center position. That gives you 6. Hallie is a lock as well. We'll give him the
Yep.
seniority pick there. So that gives us
Banchero.
7.
Banchero, eight.
Yeah, Paolo deserves a spot. That puts us to 8. I am 100% in on Cooper Flag. Like if he
Okay, so
doesn't
here's
make Team
we went
USA,
through this already. We went Cooper Flag and we went Chet, like
yeah. So
we said
that
we gave
gives
you.
us 9.
Yeah.
We have 3 spots left.
So then,
I
but you said also, but you said Ja, like
Yeah,
you just settled on Ja.
I would be probably positioning for Ja over Maxi, but I
No,
do
that's
see
what
the case.
it's 2-1. So Ja's already on the board there. Like
So Ja
you
pushes,
both
yeah,
went Ja.
Ja would push us to 10.
Yeah.
And then with the last 2 spots, like
Am
it could
I
be Maxi, could be
am
Maxi.
I again, I think I just because bigs wise and versatility, athleticism, size, I really think Mobley is a guy. As long as
Yeah.
he improves at least a decent bit, I think he's a guy they have to look at because having a guy like AD and Bam this year was so versatile. If they really AD, Bam and Chet is cool, but I think they need that third big to kind of fill in that void when they're either the matchups aren't working great or they get too tired. I think a guy like Mobley or some sort they got to add another like quote unquote true center. I think to that roster.
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing with that. The last 2 spots, I was looking at Cade and Mobley as like the 2 guys that I think could fill that spot. I think Cade, I mean, having the
I think
familiarity with Team USA, he's been on the select team for a few years now, and I feel like Cade's kind of gone under the radar because of how bad the Pistons are, just how terrible of a situation it's been. He hasn't
he's
really
so
had
good,
an
bro. I don't.
opportunity. He has really not had an opportunity to like prove on a bigger stage that he is as good as he is. But I think he is definitely, especially 4 years from now, I think he's definitely worthy of being one of those 12 guys.
Can
Like
I throw out an interesting one?
go ahead.
Because it would require definitely him to develop like a lot, especially on the defensive end. Jaron Duran, what do you think about that?
Ooh.
Because of his athleticism and strength. I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's a great one,
No,
but
no,
I'm
I
saying it's
definitely see the
interesting. I
path. Like
think
it's definitely a good name to throw out there. But yeah, you make the good point that it would
his
take a
defense is so
lot
good.
of a lot of defensive discipline. And it's weird. Like I feel like the casual fan thinks of Jaron Duran as like probably a pretty decent defender for a rookie
They think
big.
he's Dwight Howard.
Yeah, he's definitely not. He's definitely not. He's like Wizards Dwight Howard maybe, or like Hornets Dwight Howard. But uh yeah, that's a worthwhile name to throw out there. Someone that has also been a part of the US select team in this past Olympic run. Yeah, for all the right reasons, yeah, he could be a piece for them. He's got the athleticism, he's got the sort of pick and roll game. He obviously
Okay,
will have the chemistry with Cade by then.
can we revisit the Zion pick?
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong.
If he's healthy, I don't
Yeah,
see any world where he doesn't make
yeah, if
it.
he's healthy and ready to go come summer 2028, there's no doubt in my mind he's one of the 12 best American basketball players.
But
But
Zion might not be able to walk by 2028.
exactly, so
So
like, yeah, that's a wait and see type decision. We might have to wait until as Luka
we'll
Doncic
put him with the
as the
asterisk.
Luka
Zion will be
Doncic
an
little toy falls off the desk, um, and he falls out of my hands. Yeah, as long as Zion is like still a basketball player in 2028, he's probably going to be eligible for Team USA. But it's just a matter of is he still that same
I think
guy?
there's another dark horse name that you probably
I wonder
weren't
if you're
thinking
thinking who
about
I
it.
am. Is he on the select team?
J Dub, Jalen
Ah,
Williams.
yes, Jalen Williams. Yeah, I'm very interested to see, just in a general sense, like what his next season looks like. I'm very intrigued by Jalen Williams because
I don't know what his ceiling is.
yeah, that's what I'm getting at is like I was so impressed watching him in some of these fourth quarters for the Thunder last year that I wonder like what is his ceiling really? Could he actually be one of the best players in the league, like an all NBA caliber type of player? Because he played at Santa Clara, like he came into the league as like someone who hardly played against high level competition, and then comes into the NBA and just fits right in, and is one of the most clutch players in the entire NBA. So I'm very very intrigued by what he might look like 4 years from now.
I think the craziest part is he did this season out of position.
Yeah,
He
Bro's playing
played
6'5" power forward.
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
He put up, I think it was like 19, 4.5 on like
Mhm.
43% from three, albeit I think only like 4 attempts or whatever.
Yeah, it's not
But
a lot.
he did all of that while having to guard some of the craziest bigger bodies that he's ever
Mhm.
like that any player in the league has done. He emerged as like the number 2 option next to Shea while also taking on like some insane fucking assignments.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, if this is what he's like now, imagine what he's like at 27.
My biggest worry with that is I'm concerned that they're going to prioritize Chet's growth over him, and he's going to see less and less touches. I hope it doesn't, but I'm just like, I think people sometimes forget like Chet was seen as a generational talent before like he was drafted, and I feel like no one talks about him like that anymore. Like I am so confident in Chet's ability. And I think OKC is too. I just hope that doesn't take away from Williams because I know it's not all numbers game, but like at the end of the day, like you do have to have good numbers still to make Team USA. Like I'm like, if he's only averaging like, let's say his numbers dip to like 16, 17 points a game, like he's not really developing like we thought he would. I think there is a world where he doesn't make it, but I also think at the same time, him being so good at so many different things, he's a perfect kind of guy to have on Team USA.
I think the thing with Chet that also a lot of people like kind of like have sidebarred is how quickly he was able to say, okay, I don't need to eat a lot to produce a lot. Chet's not a guy who needs to have the ball in his hands, who needs to be fed the same way, which is why I'm not worried about him possibly taking away touches away from
Well, it
Williams.
wasn't more. It was more so my concerns are with diagonal and the Thunder's direction is what they're like because I think that they have way bigger plans for Chet. And what's Chet like? If they're like, "Hey, we want to give you more touches and Jalen less," like, what's Chet gonna be like? No, don't do that. Like, I don't think like there's a world where that happens.
No, but I think Chet's also smart enough to realize that
Oh no, yeah.
his actual production would be like generationally improved if he continued to play along a guy like Shea and next to Jalen
I
Williams,
hope
where
they
he's
keep those
able.
big three and
Yeah,
prioritize all of them. Like that, I think they have their core three going forward already. Like,
yeah.
but again, like, so I feel like there's no jack of all trades guys. That's the thing is this team is that's what they're gonna be missing. Other than like Bam, like who do you and maybe if
Yeah,
Cooper Flag is already and
I
like
think Jalen Williams in a lot of ways
that
could actually
exactly
end up
that.
filling that sort of Derek White
So are
role.
we putting him
Actually,
on?
Dion, if you want to say filling roles of being a Swiss Army knife, there is still another name that he's at the end of your list, but he's a guy that fits
Scott
easily
Barnes.
if you can put him at the five, he fits the role where you throw him on the best player.
I
He
like
fits the
Scotty
role
on the
like
team,
I'm
bro.
I'm just saying, Scotty's fit on the lineup that we've built so far makes a lot of sense, especially now that his jump shot is coming along. Like
If he
Yeah,
could
be
even just hit
yeah.
the open corner shots, like that's all they need him to do, and that's he can do that.
Well, that's what I'm realizing sort of as I'm looking at this roster on paper. They definitely need another guy sort of at that wing forward spot. So like J Dub and Scotty are some really great names to throw out there because but behind Tatum, like I know I'm like all in on Cooper Flag and we'll see what happens 4 years from now. But like outside of that, they don't really have a lot of like those like 6'8", 6'9" guys who can sort of fill that spot. So like J Dub and Scotty, I think are two very
Can I
prime
give another
candidates for that
random
exact
one, like a
reason.
dark horse one that
Yeah,
I like?
please
Again,
don't say
probably
Nas Reed or I'm ending the pod right now.
I wasn't gonna say fucking Nas Reed, but I don't think it would be that ridiculous. Like, but he's not gonna make it. It's Trey Murphy. I'm saying this because again, he's another guy I'm really high on. I think his potential as one of the best 3-and-D players in the league is, he's one of already the best 3-and-D players in the league, but I think he has a level, both shot creation wise and, on ball defense where I think he's going to continue to get even better. His tools are great. He's a guy that's been praised for his work ethic time and time again. And he's been on this USA select team. So I think, let's say there's a venue that opens up where Ingram does get out of there and Trey becomes like a full-time starter and he keeps developing. He'll only be what, like 27, 28 by the time those Olympics come around. Like I think he's a guy that could legitimately put himself in those conversations. We just haven't seen it yet.
Oh, yeah.
so Mr. Sherman, remember how before we were talking about the potential Derek White replacement and the name still hasn't been said yet? His pre-draft comparison was Derek White, played, you know, Gonzaga,
Jalen Suggs.
name Jalen Suggs.
Ah,
Jalen Suggs at
yes.
Jalen Suggs
Okay.
at 27 years old
Okay.
would be the direct Derek White
Yeah.
replacement, I think. And you actually could make the argument that like his shooting has actually steadied out. His offensive production has gotten to that point.
Mhm.
Like 40% from three last season. Like think about that. If he does that with his defense and his shot blocking at the guard position, I think there's
Yeah.
your Derek White fix right there.
Hey, that's a great call. Yeah, I like that. I like that pick. He definitely has a lot of similarities to Derek White. And the only issue is like this is sort of the general idea of why I wanted to talk about this is that I don't think that the 2028 roster is going to have the same sort of talent that 2024 had. Like people will call the 2024 team like literally the Avengers. Like this is arguably the best team Team USA has ever put together. So I don't know that they will use the sort of Derek White role in the same way because they're going to rely on like sort of different pieces to contribute different things. But in terms of like replacing Derek White, Jalen Suggs is very much like the next guy in that line. Like I definitely see that. I like that you threw him out there.
Can I
So,
throw another one out there just
all
to
right,
see
one
what?
more, and then I want to settle on a final 12 here before we wrap this
Okay,
up.
I know
So,
you guys laughed like jokingly before at this because I know Dion isn't high on him. Well, no, hold on. If you're saying
Go
a
ahead.
guy like
Go
Jalen
ahead.
Suggs could make it, a guy that kind of does a little bit of everything, but can also don't call me crazy till you watch him this season. But Emmanuel Quickly is a guy I think is legitimately has a shot at that. Stop, because you literally didn't watch him as a starter ever. I know you haven't because the way you
Yeah,
talk
you
about him,
you have admitted to not being an
you
IQ
don't
knower.
watch him. Like you don't fucking know.
Look, fellas.
He literally
I
does everything. Tell me one thing he's bad at because there's no, you can't. There's nothing he's bad at.
I didn't say that.
Well, I'm
Look.
just saying I'm going along with this theme of if one of those lower echelon players makes the team that can do a little bit of everything. Great catch and shoot guy, can run an offense, very very good defender, can play above his size defensively, very good rebounder. Like how is he not a Derek White?
I'm not disagreeing with any of those points.
Okay, I just was preparing for you two.
I am just steady fast on the opinion that I will wait until Emmanuel quickly proves me wrong. I will wait until he proves that he has earned the contract extension that he got. I am
He's already
lower on
better
it.
than Derek White, by the way, just so you know that.
Has nothing to do with how I feel
Oh,
about
okay,
Emmanuel
I just
quickly,
want you to
but
know that.
okay, that's fine. I will continue to be lower on Emmanuel quickly than the two of you in particular for some pretty obvious reasons. But
Now
okay,
hold on. Before we continue, like agreeing with that one, you actually might be one of the people that I've met and talked to that is significantly lower on him, strictly based on what has he done for me lately? Because Emmanuel
well, he's done a lot
quickly,
lately. His time with the Raptors
exactly,
was great. No, I'm not denying
it
that.
it was great, and it's not a fluke when you look at him as a starter, and I
It's
think
not
that's
at
the
all.
biggest part. I think the biggest part is that if you think that this contract isn't like deserving, then there's a bunch of guys that got the same kind of level extensions that you can look around the line. Like I'm not gonna say that I believe in the Franz supremacy,
Yeah,
but
yeah, Franz
if
is
you but if you can sit there and be like, oh, I don't it quickly hasn't played up to this, then neither has a guy like Franz. Or
well,
if you
yeah,
want to be like,
I'm
oh,
not
Jalen,
exactly, yeah, I'm not exactly
but
the
no, but like
biggest fan of
this
Franz's
is my
extension.
thing.
Yeah,
Like when Jalen Green gets that kind of money, looking down the line and being like, wow, like Quickly's contract doesn't look too fucking bad in retrospect when he puts up 22, 8 and
look,
shoots 41% from three on
Here's the
I
nine
thing:
just
is
attempts.
Jalen Suggs has already gotten way more opportunity, way more playing time than Emmanuel quickly has in his career so far, and they're about the same age. And I don't know why you would put a guy like Suggs before like quickly. That's all. I just want to give quickly a mention if we're gonna mention a guy like Suggs because I don't
fair.
think there's
I
any
mean,
reason not to.
the reason is because Suggs is a much better defender. But before you
Much.
even rebuttal, hold on. I'm very much more willing to just admit that I'm wrong on quickly rather than just jump out and be like, oh yeah, no, I love quickly, great extension, etc. I'm ready to admit that I'm wrong rather than
Okay, I'll respect that.
so yeah. But all right, let's settle on a final roster here. I think
Okay,
we're
so
in agreement. I think we're in
starters
agreement.
first.
Brunson, Booker, Ant, Tatum, Chet. I'll go with Chet over Bam. I think that's
Okay.
totally valid. I think that starting five is pretty much locked in. Like I think everyone feels pretty good about that. The guards we'll get to later off the bench, but I think Bam obviously as sort of like the six man. Cooper Flag, I think we feel good about him. Sort of being like the Tatum backup.
Yep.
That's where we'll throw Hallie in
Paolo.
there. We'll throw Hallie and Paolo for seniority purposes as 8 and 9. The last three spots, I think we have to have a conversation about Maxi, Ja, and Cade.
I thought Ja was already on. I thought we are
Yeah,
putting Ja on.
we'd put Ja on.
We're
So
okay,
we're
all
at
right, cool.
10.
Okay, I don't
Ja's
have to
at
sell you
10.
on
Yeah.
Ja. Okay, great. So we
Yeah.
got Ja in there as number 10. We got two more spots. I'm a little
We
bit
need
in the
another
air about
big. There
it.
has to be another big.
Yeah, I think Mobley probably has to be there for size purposes. And
Yeah.
then I honestly like you sold me on J Dub. Like him being on the
I'm
wing,
cool.
there's
I
not a
am
lot
so
of
cool with J-Dub being there.
I think it's between J Dub or Scotty.
I was
Because
gonna
as
say
much as
J Dub
No,
over Scotty
yeah,
though.
no, 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 no.
I was
Put
like, I
Scotty. We're
wasn't
putting.
advocating for J Dub over Scotty. I was saying J Dub is like a general like 11,
Yeah, no,
12. I would
Scotty's got to
take
be there.
I would take Scotty.
Yeah,
Like,
Scott. All right.
you guys are hard on Scotty over J Dub.
I mean,
yeah.
what does J-Dub do better than Scotty?
Shoot,
That's debatable. From the mid range,
no,
yeah,
it's
but
not.
shoot overall, yes, it
No,
is.
I mean, okay,
Shooter overall.
hold on. Like this is Scotty's first season like coming into the three, and
Yeah,
it looked fantastic. 35% is still nothing to snuff at, but it's a far cry from 43. I think if Scotty gets to 37, he's like kind
yeah.
of a player that you look at and say, oh yeah, he does more and it contributes to winning more than Jalen Williams. I think that's just
Yeah, no, I think Scotty has the higher ceiling. I just think
and also would make more sense in Team USA in
Well,
terms of positional
yeah,
versatility and the
he's
defense that
also
it needs.
he's someone you can run as a pseudo big against certain teams. Like you could run Scotty at center if you had to against a
yeah,
team
you
like
could run
Puerto
like a
Rico or
Scotty
something.
Tatum front court in the right situation and
Yeah,
like against like South
you
Sudan. I'm
can't
thinking
run
about.
You can't run Jalen Williams at center.
Fair enough. Okay, fine. I'll give you guys Scotty. So we're gonna go Brunson, Booker, Anthony Edwards, Tatum, Chet. Second unit of Hallie. Did we forget about Cade? I think we
I
forgot
don't
about
think we
Cade.
forgot. I think we
I
weren't consensusly agreeing on him.
yeah.
Really? Okay. All right. I'll give it to you. So second unit of Hallie and John Morant in the backcourt with Scotty, Cooper Flag, and Bam. And then what we're going Mobley and Maxi? We're going
I was
Mobley
just
and
say I like. Hello, did you just forget Scotty again, or did you say him?
Yeah,
no, I
you
said
just
Scotty.
okay. There we go.
Brunson, Booker, Anthony Edwards, Tatum, and Chet. That's your starting
Okay,
lineup.
5. And
Second
then
unit, Ja, Hallie, Scotty, Cooper Flag, and Bam. Last two
those
last
two.
two guys, we said we got to throw Mobley in there for the size.
Mhm.
And then
I
yeah,
actually do like how you put Maxi, I think, because I think depending on the lineup, it's better to run one of him or Ja. Because especially if you're running them together, Maxi is so much better next to Halliburton than
but
Ja
are we
would be.
not taking Cade over Maxi?
No, what the
No,
fuck?
no, Dion, you are. That's
Cade
an
is so
anthill.
much
You
more
can.
ball dominant than Maxi.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. But Cade's also better than Maxi, is he not? Am I crazy?
Right
I
now, I mean,
I was
no.
gonna hold
We're
on,
talking about
hold
4 years
on.
from now. No, we're
Yeah,
talking about
they're
2028.
4 years from now. Max is gonna be 1 year older. I again, you forget that Max is 23. Like
I know
Cade has.
that.
Hold on, Cade has done nothing, and I'm not taking it. I'm taking it with a grain of salt for Detroit. Cade has done nothing to convince me that in 3-4 years down the line he will be better than Maxi.
Well,
That's
I
just
don't think I think 3 to 4 years down the line, even if the Pistons aren't good, I still think that Cade could be a potential MVP candidate. So I think it's like I think the projecting thing is so hard right now because that's it. Because like right
Obviously.
now,
Yeah,
Maxi's
yeah,
way
yeah.
better, or not way better, but I think Maxi easily I would take over. 4 years from now, I really don't know. So I think let's just like split it at Maxi
All right. Well, we're not
Cade.
doing another Zoom meeting, so I will concede that we'll go with Maxi over Cade. And with that, that gives us our 12-man roster. Brunson, Booker, Anthony Edwards, Tatum, Chet, Ja Morant, Halliburton, Scotty, Flag, and Bam. And then Maxi and Mobley sort of round out the roster. It's a pretty damn good team, don't get me wrong, but I'm very interested to see what France has to offer 4 years from now. Between Wemby at 24 years old, Salon, Reece Shea, Nolan Traore, it's going to be very interesting. But that'll do it for this episode. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure to give us a follow on the Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok. Check out the YouTube channel, and we'll be back with another episode very shortly.